It was a bright, sunny morning. The sky was clear, the sun was shining warmly, and the sound of laughter filled the air. Children ran around a large public pool, their voices mixing with the splash of water. Parents sat on chairs nearby, keeping a watchful eye. The water sparkled in the sunlight, inviting everyone to jump in and enjoy. Among the children, a small boy named Liam was the happiest. He was 7 years old, with messy brown hair and bright eyes that always seemed full of curiosity. Today he was especially excited. He had been waiting all week to come to the pool, and he ran toward the water with his small backpack bouncing on his shoulders. His little feet barely touched the ground as he ran faster and faster, imagining himself diving into the water like a strong, brave swimmer. "Mom, Mom, look at me," Liam shouted, his voice full of joy. He skipped over the wet tiles, ready to jump in. But as he reached the edge of the pool, something unexpected happened. A woman stood in front of him. She was tall, serious, and wore a bright red swimsuit that made her stand out. Her arms were crossed tightly over her chest. Liam stopped suddenly, his small legs frozen in shock. "You can't swim here," the woman said sharply, her voice firm and cold. Liam blinked. What? Why not?" he stammered, his excitement fading into confusion. The woman didn't answer. She just shook her head and pointed toward a bench far from the water. Liam's heart sank. He looked around, trying to understand. Other children were laughing, splashing, and playing in the water. Some waved at him, inviting him to join. But the woman's eyes were fixed on him, like a gatekeeper who would not let him pass. Liam's lips trembled. His small hands clenched into fists. He wanted to cry but didn't. Instead, he turned slowly and walked toward his mother, his head down. His steps were heavy, and each one seemed to echo louder than the last in his mind. His mother, Sarah, was sitting nearby, chatting with another parent. She saw him coming and immediately noticed his sad face. "Liam, what's wrong?" she asked, standing up quickly. She won't let me swim, Mom," Liam said, his voice small and trembling. She said I can't." Sarah frowned. Her eyes followed Liam toward the woman, who now seemed even more serious. Sarah's heart tightened. She didn't like confrontation, but she knew something was wrong. This wasn't normal. "Who?" she asked, her voice calm but firm. "That woman." Liam pointed, tears starting to form in his eyes. She said I can't swim." Sarah walked toward the woman slowly, keeping her hands relaxed. She didn't want to start an argument, but she had to understand. "Excuse me," Sarah said politely, "may I ask why my son cannot swim?" The woman looked at her, her face unreadable. "It's not allowed," she said simply. "Not allowed? But why? He's just a child. The other kids are swimming. Why can't he?" Sarah asked, trying to stay calm. The woman didn't answer. She looked past Sarah as if nothing Sarah said mattered. She shifted her stance, crossing her arms tighter. Sarah noticed a slight frown on her forehead. Something in her expression suggested a mix of worry and stubbornness, but it was impossible to understand her thoughts. Liam tugged at his mother's hand. "Mom, I just want to swim, please," he whispered, his voice almost breaking. Sarah knelt down to look him in the eyes. "I know, sweetheart. I know. We will figure this out," she said softly, trying to comfort him. But inside, Sarah felt a spark of determination. She didn't like people treating children unfairly. She didn't like the way the woman had stopped Liam without giving a reason. And she certainly didn't like seeing her son hurt. The crowd around the pool continued to enjoy the sunny morning. Children screamed and laughed as they jumped in the water. Parents chatted and relaxed. But for Sarah and Liam, the world felt different. The pool, which had seemed like a place of fun and joy just moments ago, now felt like a battlefield. Liam's little hands clenched tighter as he looked at the woman. He didn't understand why she had stopped him, but he felt a strange sense of injustice. He felt that something unfair had happened, and he wished he could fight back, even though he was small. Sarah stood up straight and took a deep breath. She glanced around, noticing that no one else seemed to be paying attention. For them, the pool was just a place to play, but for her and Liam, it had become something more. Something important. The woman looked at Sarah again, her eyes sharp. It was clear she wasn't going to let Liam swim without a fight. And for the first time, Sarah felt a small thrill of tension. She didn't know how this would end, but she knew she couldn't give up. Liam looked up at his mother, hope returning to his eyes. "Mom, what are we going to do?" he asked softly. Sarah smiled faintly, her determination growing. "We'll see, Liam," she said. "We'll see." And with that, a quiet war had begun. A battle not of violence, but of courage, cleverness, and determination. The kind of battle that could change a simple sunny day at a pool into a story that no one would forget. As the sun reflected on the sparkling water, the tension hung in the air. Every small movement mattered. Every glance, every word, every decision could change the outcome. And all around them life went on, unaware that a small but unexpected war had begun at the public pool. The audience, like Sarah and Liam, was left asking the same question. Why won't she let the child swim? And what will happen next? Liam's small hand trembled as he held onto his mother's. He looked up at her with wide, pleading eyes. Mom, she won't let me swim. Please, can you make her let me? Sarah's heart tightened. She felt anger rising slowly, a quiet fire building inside her. She hated seeing her child hurt, being treated unfairly for no reason. But she also knew that losing her temper wouldn't help. She had to think clearly. Don't worry, Liam. I'll handle this, she said gently, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. She took a deep breath and walked toward the woman who still stood at the pool edge, arms crossed, watching them silently. As Sarah approached, she noticed the woman's eyes narrowing. There was a strange intensity in her gaze, a stubbornness that seemed almost unnatural. She wasn't just stopping Liam from swimming, she was making a statement. Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. Hello, Sarah said politely, keeping her voice calm but firm. I'm Liam's mother. Can you please tell me why you're stopping him from swimming? The woman tilted her head slightly, her expression unreadable. He can't swim here, she said again in the same cold tone as before. Sarah frowned. But why? He's just a child. The other kids are swimming. What makes him different? The woman didn't answer. She looked past Sarah as if she didn't see her at all. Sarah noticed her lips pressing into a thin line, a sign of stubbornness. She realized then that she couldn't just ask nicely and expect an answer. Liam tugged at her sleeve. Mom, please. I just want to swim, he whispered, his voice barely audible. He tried to hide his tears, but Sarah could see the sadness in his eyes. Sarah knelt down to his level. I know, sweetie. I know. Don't worry, I won't let anyone treat you unfairly. I promise, she said softly. Liam nodded, holding onto her hand tighter, feeling a small spark of hope. Rising to her full height, Sarah squared her shoulders. She had always believed in solving problems calmly, but sometimes calm alone wasn't enough. She had to be clever, confident, and maybe a little bold. The woman noticed Sarah's determination. She straightened slightly as if preparing herself for a challenge. Sarah felt a small thrill of tension. This wasn't going to be easy. The woman was clearly used to getting her way. But Sarah wasn't going to back down. Not for her son. Listen, Sarah began, her voice calm but steady. I understand you have rules, but I don't see how my son is breaking any. He is just a child, eager to enjoy a day at the pool like everyone else. I think he deserves a chance. The woman's eyes flickered briefly toward the pool. It's not about rules, she said. It's about safety. Some children are not careful in the water. I can't let them swim. Sarah nodded slowly, hiding her frustration. I understand your concern for safety, she said. But Liam is careful. He knows how to follow instructions. He is not a danger to himself or others. And I am right here with him. The woman's frown deepened. She looked at Liam, who stood quietly beside his mother, his small shoulders stiff with determination. Sarah could see the conflict in her eyes. On one side she had her rules and authority. On the other, the mother and child, calm but strong, refusing to be intimidated. Sarah decided to try a different approach. I know you want to keep everyone safe, she said softly. We all do. But blocking one child without explanation doesn't seem fair. Let Liam swim. Watch him. If he does anything unsafe, I will take responsibility. The woman's eyes narrowed. She said nothing for a long moment, just stared. Sarah held her gaze, steady and confident. She could feel Liam's small hand trembling in hers. She knew he was counting on her. Finally, the woman spoke, her voice quiet but firm. I can't let him. Not today. Sarah felt a surge of frustration but kept her calm. She looked around, realizing that no one else seemed to notice the tension. Everyone else was laughing, splashing, enjoying the sunny morning. But for Sarah and Liam, the world had changed. The pool, once a place of fun, had become a battlefield of willpower and courage. She crouched down to Liam's level again. It's okay, Liam. Don't worry. We'll find a way, she whispered. He looked up at her with wide eyes, hope and fear mixed together. Sarah stood again and walked closer to the woman. I don't want to fight, she said firmly. I just want what's fair. You can either let him swim or I'll speak to the manager. I know my rights as a parent. The woman's face tightened. She was not used to being challenged, especially not by someone calm and determined. Sarah felt a sense of small victory. The first move in this quiet war had been made. Liam watched his mother, his heart swelling with pride. He knew she would never let anyone hurt him unfairly. He didn't understand every word she said, but he understood her courage. And that courage gave him strength. The woman took a step back, her eyes flicking toward the pool staff in the distance. Sarah noticed it immediately. She realized that the next move was crucial. If she involved the staff, maybe they would side with her. Maybe Liam could finally swim. But the woman noticed Sarah noticing. Her lips pressed into a thin line. Sarah knew that this was a challenge she could not ignore. Every second counted. Every glance mattered. Every word could change the outcome. Liam tugged at her hand again. "Mom, what are we going to do?" he asked softly. Sarah smiled faintly. "We're going to find a way, Liam. Don't worry. I won't let you down," she said, her voice full of determination. And so the quiet battle continued. A mother against a stranger's stubbornness. A small child against a world that seemed unfair. And all around them, the pool remained bright and sunny, unaware of the storm quietly building at its edge. The audience, like Sarah and Liam, was left wondering, will the mother find a way? Will Liam finally get to swim? Or will the woman's stubbornness win? The sun was high above, casting bright reflections on the sparkling water of the public pool. Children laughed and shouted as they splashed around, unaware of the silent tension building at the pool's edge. Liam stood next to his mother, his small hand clutching hers tightly. His heart raced with hope and fear at the same time. Sarah took a deep breath. She knew she couldn't let this go. This wasn't just about a pool or a rule. It was about fairness. It was about her child's right to enjoy a simple sunny day. And most importantly, it was about teaching Liam that courage and determination could make a difference. "Listen," Sarah began, her voice calm but firm. She kept her eyes locked on the woman, who still stood rigidly, arms crossed, staring at them. "I don't understand why you are stopping my son from swimming. He is careful. He listens. He is not causing trouble for anyone." The woman's face remained unreadable, but there was a flicker in her eyes, a tiny spark of hesitation. She said nothing. "Please," Sarah continued, her tone softening but remaining strong. "I know you are concerned about safety. We all are. But keeping him out without explaining why is unfair. If you are worried, I am right here with him. I will make sure he is safe. All I ask is for a chance." The woman's eyes narrowed. "It's not about fairness," she said finally, her voice cold. "It's about responsibility. I have to make decisions. Sometimes you won't like them, but they are for safety." Sarah nodded slowly. She understood her point, at least partially, but she refused to back down. "I respect that," she said, taking a small step closer. "But safety doesn't mean stopping one child for no reason. There is a way to be safe and fair at the same time." Liam watched his mother closely. His heart pounded as he saw her stand taller, her voice steady. He felt a strange mix of pride and hope. His mother was not afraid. She was ready to fight, not with anger, but with determination and courage. The woman sighed, her lips pressing into a thin line. "You think you can convince me?" she asked sharply. "I don't think," Sarah replied calmly. "I know I can. Liam deserves a chance, and I will not give up." For a moment the pool seemed to go quiet. Even the children's laughter felt distant. Everyone else was too busy enjoying the sunny day to notice the battle happening at the pool's edge. But for Sarah and the woman, every second felt heavy, every glance and movement full of meaning. The woman's expression softened slightly. Sarah noticed the hesitation. Maybe the woman had never faced someone so calm, so determined. Maybe she wasn't used to being challenged. Sarah decided it was time to push carefully but confidently. "Look at him," Sarah said, pointing gently to Liam. "Do you see a child who is dangerous? Or do you see a child who wants to enjoy a sunny day like everyone else?" The woman's eyes flicked to Liam. He stood quietly, trying to look brave. His lips trembled slightly, but his eyes were fixed on his mother, filled with trust and hope. The woman studied him, her frown deepening. Sarah continued, her voice steady. "I will take full responsibility for him. If anything goes wrong, I will handle it. But stopping him without reason, that is not right. Please, let him swim." The woman looked away for a moment as if thinking. Then she turned back, her eyes sharp again. "It's not that simple," she said softly. "Some children, some parents, don't understand the rules. Sometimes things go wrong. I have to protect everyone." Sarah took a deep breath. She knew she had to stay calm and clever. Losing her temper would only make things worse. I understand. But Liam is not one of those children. He listens. He is careful. And I am here to guide him. Please trust me. The woman studied her, eyes narrowed. She seemed torn between her stubbornness and the undeniable truth in Sarah's words. Sarah could sense it. She could see the moment of doubt forming. Liam tugged at her sleeve again. Mom, please, he whispered. His small voice carried all the hope and trust of a child who believed in his mother. Sarah looked at him and smiled faintly. I've got you, Liam. Don't worry, she said softly. Her calm determination was like a shield, protecting him and giving him courage. The woman's eyes flicked to the pool, watching other children swim happily. She looked back at Liam, then at Sarah. For a moment there was silence, thick with tension. It felt like the air itself was holding its breath. Finally the woman spoke, her voice quieter this time. If you promise to be responsible, I might allow him. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She nodded quickly. I promise. I will be responsible. I will not let him do anything unsafe. The woman looked at her carefully, then slowly stepped aside. Fine. One chance. But I will be watching closely. Liam's face lit up instantly. His small feet danced as he ran toward the pool. Sarah followed, smiling proudly. Her plan had worked, but the tension was far from over. The woman's eyes never left them. Every movement, every splash, every moment was being observed. As Liam dipped his toes into the water, a huge grin spread across his face. I'm swimming, he shouted, splashing water into the air. Sarah stood at the edge, her heart swelling with pride. She watched him carefully, ready to step in if needed, but also letting him enjoy his moment of joy. The woman watched silently, her arms crossed, but there was a hint of respect in her eyes now. She had underestimated Sarah's calm determination, and now she realized that this mother would not give up easily. And so, the confrontation ended, but the silent battle continued. A mother had fought for her child's happiness, using courage, cleverness, and calm determination. Liam was finally in the water, but the story was far from over. The next moments would test patience, cleverness, and bravery in ways neither Sarah nor the woman could predict. The audience, like Sarah and Liam, was left on the edge of their seats. What will happen next? Will the woman accept Liam swimming fully, or will there be another challenge waiting just around the corner? The sun was still shining bright, and the sound of children splashing in the pool filled the air. But Sarah's mind was focused entirely on Liam and the woman who had refused to let him swim. The brief victory of getting Liam into the water had been small, enough to give him hope, but Sarah knew the woman was watching every movement closely. One wrong splash, one careless laugh from Liam, and the woman could decide to stop him again. Liam, excited beyond measure, had already begun moving carefully in the shallow end of the pool. His small arms cut through the water with joy. Sarah stayed at the edge, her eyes scanning the area. The other children played freely and parents relaxed, unaware of the tension simmering at the pool's edge. She took a deep breath. I need a plan, she thought. I can't let her take this away from him. Sarah realized that appealing directly to the woman again might not work. She was stubborn, confident in her own authority. To ensure Liam's fun and safety, Sarah needed a clever approach, one that would convince not only the woman but also the staff at the pool that Liam had every right to swim. Her mind raced. The solution had to be simple, direct, and undeniable. She glanced around and noticed the pool manager standing near the entrance, speaking with another staff member. A small smile crossed her face. That's my next move. Leaning down, Sarah whispered to Liam, Sweetheart, swim slowly and stay near me. I have a plan. Liam's eyes lit up. Really? What is it? Just trust me, she said softly. You enjoy the water and I'll take care of the rest. Sarah walked briskly toward the pool manager. Her steps were calm but confident, signaling that she was serious. The manager looked up, surprised to see a parent approaching him in the middle of a busy day. Hello, Sarah said politely but with firmness in her tone. I'm Liam's mother. There's a situation I need your help with. The manager raised an eyebrow. What kind of situation? Sarah explained calmly and clearly, There's a woman here who is stopping my son from swimming. She hasn't given a clear reason and my son is careful and responsible. I'm right here with him. I would appreciate your assistance to ensure he can enjoy the pool safely. The manager listened carefully. Sarah noticed a slight frown forming on his face. He looked toward the woman who was still standing with crossed arms, eyes sharp and watchful. I see, he said slowly. Well, we do have safety rules, but we also want all children to enjoy the pool. Let me check. Sarah nodded, feeling a surge of hope. This was her chance. By involving someone in authority, she could turn the situation in her favor without confrontation. She returned to Liam, giving him a reassuring smile. The woman noticed Sarah talking to the manager and straightened slightly, suspicion flashing in her eyes. She moved closer to watch, arms still crossed, clearly calculating her next move. Sarah crouched next to Liam. "Everything's going to be okay," she whispered. "Just keep swimming and enjoy yourself." Liam nodded, his face glowing with excitement and trust. He splashed gently, keeping near the shallow edge, careful not to draw unnecessary attention. Meanwhile, the manager approached the woman. "Excuse me," he said firmly but politely. "There's no reason to stop this child from swimming. As long as the mother supervises him, he's allowed in the pool." The woman's eyes widened slightly. But I am responsible here," she protested, her voice tight with control. "And you are?" the manager replied. "But the mother is responsible too, and she is right there. He is a careful child and there is no safety issue. Please let him swim." The woman hesitated. Her lips pressed together as she weighed the situation. She glanced at Liam, who was laughing softly now, and then at Sarah, who stood calmly but confidently. The stubbornness in her eyes remained, but something had changed. The authority of the manager, combined with Sarah's calm determination, created pressure she couldn't ignore. Sarah felt her heart race. She had prepared for this moment but didn't expect the tension to feel so thick. Every second mattered. She stayed close to Liam, her eyes on the woman, silently daring her to interfere. Finally the woman sighed. Her shoulders slumped slightly and she stepped aside. "Fine," she said, her voice quiet. "But I will be watching. One mistake and he's out." Liam's face lit up. "Yes. Thank you, Mom," he shouted, splashing a little water in joy. Sarah smiled, proud of him and herself. But she knew better than to relax completely. The woman was still watching, still a threat to Liam's enjoyment. Sarah had taught Liam to be careful, to listen, and to follow instructions. Now he was putting those lessons into action. Every splash was measured, every move thoughtful. Sarah stayed close, her presence both a shield and a guide. The audience could feel the tension building. This was no longer just about swimming. It was about courage, cleverness, and the subtle battle between a parent's determination and a stranger's stubborn control. Every glance, every movement, every second carried weight. As Liam swam confidently, Sarah realized her plan had worked. But the real victory wasn't just getting him into the pool, it was showing him that calm thinking, cleverness, and courage could overcome obstacles. The woman watched silently, arms crossed, her face unreadable. There was no applause, no cheering, only the quiet acknowledgement that she had underestimated the mother. Sarah's clever move had turned the tide without a single harsh word or angry outburst. And so, the plan succeeded. Liam was free to enjoy the pool, but the tension remained. The audience was left wondering, would the woman finally accept Liam fully? Or was another challenge waiting just around the corner? The pool was alive with laughter, splashes, and sunny energy. Children dived into the water, squealed in delight, and played games. Parents watched, relaxed, enjoying the day. But for Sarah and Liam, the tension was far from over. Liam swam happily near the shallow edge, his small arms slicing through the water, careful and cautious. He had learned to trust his mother and follow her instructions, and now he was finally enjoying the pool he had been dreaming about all morning. Sarah stood at the edge, her eyes scanning both her son and the woman who had caused all the trouble. The woman still stood with arms crossed, watching every movement, her expression unreadable. Sarah knew she had gained a small victory by involving the pool manager. Liam was allowed to swim for now. But she could sense that the woman's stubbornness hadn't disappeared. She was waiting for a mistake, waiting for any reason to intervene again. Sarah realized that this moment of victory could be temporary if she didn't act carefully. Her mind raced. "I need to make sure Liam is completely safe, and I need to show this woman that there is nothing to fear. I need a twist she won't expect." Sarah leaned down and whispered to Liam, "Sweetheart, keep swimming near me. Watch carefully and follow my lead." Liam nodded, excitement and trust shining in his eyes. He continued splashing gently, staying close to his mother's side. Sarah stepped back slightly, scanning the pool. That's when she saw it, a lifeguard checking the pool rules and another staff member watching from a distance. An idea began to form, a clever plan to completely remove the woman's resistance without confrontation. She walked toward the lifeguard first, her steps calm but confident. "Excuse me," she said, "could I speak to you for a moment?" The lifeguard looked up, curious. "Sure. What is it?" Sarah explained the situation clearly, keeping her voice low so the children couldn't hear. There's a woman here stopping my son from swimming. She hasn't given a real reason and I am supervising him carefully. I want to make sure he is allowed to enjoy the pool safely. Can you help me confirm that it's fine? The lifeguard glanced toward the woman and then at Liam. As long as he's supervised and safe, there shouldn't be a problem, he said. I can step over and watch him myself if needed. Sarah nodded, smiling faintly. Thank you. That's all I need. She returned to Liam, giving him a subtle nod. Mom, what's the plan? Liam whispered, excitement bubbling in his voice. You'll see, Sarah said softly. Just trust me. Sarah took a small step forward toward the woman, who now noticed her coming. The woman's eyes narrowed, suspicion clear. She must have felt that Sarah was planning something. Sarah crouched slightly, looking Liam in the eyes. Sweetheart, show her how careful you are. Swim slowly, follow my rules, and smile. We're going to prove there's nothing to worry about. Liam's face lit up with determination. He followed her instructions perfectly, moving through the water carefully, splashing gently, and keeping his small distance from other children. The woman watched, her frown deepening. She seemed frustrated. No mistakes, no splashes out of control. Liam was exactly as Sarah said, careful, responsible, and completely safe. Sarah knew it was time for the twist. She called out, gently but confidently, Liam, let's do something special. Wave to the lifeguard and thank him for keeping us safe. Liam's small arm waved toward the lifeguard, who smiled and nodded. Other parents noticed the child's politeness and careful behavior. A few whispered quietly among themselves, impressed by how responsible Liam was. The woman's eyes widened. She hadn't expected this. She hadn't anticipated a child following instructions so perfectly, nor had she expected Sarah to involve the staff subtly without confrontation. The woman's authority suddenly seemed less absolute. Sarah walked closer, her tone calm but clear. See? He's safe. He's happy. There's nothing to worry about. You don't need to stop him. The woman hesitated, her arms slowly uncrossing. There was a small twitch in her face, a sign of conflict. Sarah knew she had created a situation where the woman's stubbornness was no longer supported. Every adult nearby could see that Liam was behaving perfectly, supervised by a responsible parent and enjoying himself. For a brief moment, the woman seemed lost. Her eyes flicked from Liam to Sarah, then to the lifeguard and finally back to the water. Sarah noticed a subtle shift in her stance. She could see the surprise, even respect, forming in her expression. And then it happened, the twist Sarah had hoped for. The woman stepped aside completely, giving Liam full access to the pool. She didn't speak, but her eyes softened and she moved away, no longer trying to interfere. Liam's joy exploded. He splashed and laughed, swimming freely, shouting, Mom, look at me. I'm swimming. Sarah smiled, her heart swelling with pride. She had not only protected her child but also proved that calm thinking, cleverness, and determination could overcome stubbornness. She stayed close, watching every movement, ensuring Liam's safety, but now with a sense of relief. The audience could feel the tension breaking, the victory earned not by anger or shouting but by cleverness, strategy, and patience. The pool was once again filled with laughter and fun, but Sarah's triumph lingered quietly, a subtle reminder that sometimes the clever move is better than the loud one. The woman finally walked away, silent and thoughtful. Perhaps she had learned something. Perhaps she had realized that a mother's love and determination could outmatch stubbornness and authority. Sarah didn't know and she didn't care. The important thing was Liam, safe and happy, enjoying the water without fear or restriction. Liam swam toward his mother, his small face glowing. Thank you, Mom. You made it happen. Sarah knelt down, hugging him tightly. I promised, didn't I? I won't let anyone take away your happiness. As the sun reflected on the water and the laughter continued around them, the audience was left with a powerful realization. Sometimes courage, cleverness, and love create the strongest victories, and even the most stubborn obstacles can be overcome. But even in this triumph, the story was not over. There were still lessons to be learned, emotions to feel, and moments that would test Sarah's patience and bravery further. The twist had changed everything, but the full journey was still unfolding. The sun was beginning to dip slightly in the sky, casting a golden glow over the public pool. Children still laughed and splashed around, their joy filling the air with a carefree energy. But for Sarah and Liam, the day had taken on a deeper, more meaningful tone. It was no longer just a sunny morning at the pool, it had become a moment of victory, courage, and love. Liam's small feet kicked through the water with excitement. His laughter rang out like music, clear and bright, as he moved from one shallow end to the other. His small arms cut through the water confidently, and every movement he made was careful, precise, and full of joy. For a moment he forgot the tension, the fear, and the disappointment of earlier that morning. The pool was finally his playground, just as he had imagined. Sarah stood at the edge, watching him closely. Her heart swelled with pride. She could see the happiness radiating from her son, the kind of joy that comes from feeling safe, loved, and empowered. This was the reward for her determination, her calm thinking, and her clever planning. Liam was finally free to enjoy the pool, and in that freedom, Sarah saw something far greater than just a child swimming. The woman who had caused all the earlier tension had stepped aside, standing a few feet away, arms crossed but quieter now. She was observing Liam, perhaps seeing the situation from a new perspective. Her expression had softened, though she didn't speak. Sarah didn't need her approval anymore. Liam's happiness was enough. "Mom, look at me," Liam shouted, splashing water toward her. His eyes sparkled, full of trust, excitement, and gratitude. Sarah smiled, her own heart lightening with each laugh of her son. She walked closer to the water's edge, crouching down to be at his level. "You did it, Liam," she said softly. "You stayed careful. You listened. And now you're having fun." Liam splashed playfully, giggling. "I'm swimming. You did it, Mom. You made it happen." Sarah laughed quietly, her eyes shimmering with emotion. She had promised him she wouldn't let anyone take away his happiness, and she had kept that promise. In that moment she felt a rush of warmth, a mix of relief, pride, and love that only a mother could feel. But the victory wasn't just about the pool. It was about courage. It was about standing up to unfairness with calm, clever, and patient action. Sarah knew that today she had taught Liam something he would never forget, that challenges could be met with determination, that obstacles could be overcome without anger, and that love was stronger than fear. The woman finally approached, her steps slow but deliberate. Liam looked up, a little wary. Sarah stood protectively beside him, her calm presence giving him courage. I didn't expect him to be so careful," the woman said softly, almost as if admitting something to herself. "He listens. He is responsible." Sarah smiled warmly, understanding the meaning behind her words. "Yes," she said softly. "He listens because he feels safe and loved. That makes all the difference." The woman nodded, a faint blush on her cheeks. She didn't speak again, but the tension that had been so thick earlier seemed to dissolve. Liam continued to swim, oblivious to the silent acknowledgement between the adults, lost in his happiness. Sarah took a step closer to the pool, dipping her own fingers in the cool water. She watched Liam, letting herself breathe deeply. The morning's anxiety, frustration, and worry melted away in the sunlight. This was what she had fought for, the simple, pure joy of her child, unharmed and happy. She called out gently, "Liam, let's swim together for a bit." His face lit up. "Yes, Mom," he shouted, and he swam toward her eagerly. Sarah stepped into the shallow water, holding him gently as they moved together. Every splash, every laugh, every joyful shout was a small victory, a celebration of love, trust, and determination. The other children watched briefly, then returned to their games. Parents nearby glanced at Sarah and Liam, noticing the bond, the trust, and the happiness shining between them. In that simple moment, the story of the day, the tension, the stubborn woman, the clever planning, was visible only to them. To the outside world, it was just a mother and her child enjoying a pool on a sunny day. But to Sarah and Liam, it was a triumph. Sarah held Liam close, letting him splash water gently, laugh freely, and enjoy the moment. She felt the full weight of what had happened that morning, the fear, the tension, the confrontation, and the clever plan she had executed. And now, as Liam smiled and splashed beside her, all that weight turned into lightness, joy, and a deep sense of fulfillment. She whispered softly, just for Liam, "I'll always protect you, sweetheart. No matter what." Liam looked up at her with shining eyes, his small hands clutching hers. "I know, Mom," he said. "I know you will." The woman, now standing a few feet away, watched silently. She didn't interrupt, didn't interfere, but there was a subtle shift in her demeanor. Perhaps she had learned something about patience, about understanding, or about the strength of a mother's love. Sarah didn't need her acknowledgement anymore. Today was about Liam, and today Liam had won. As the sun continued to warm the sparkling water, Sarah felt a quiet sense of victory. She had fought with calm intelligence, determination, and love. She had turned a moment of unfairness into a triumph. And most importantly, she had given her son an experience he would remember forever, A simple sunny day at the pool that had become extraordinary because of courage, cleverness, and love. The audience, like Sarah and Liam, could feel the emotion, the triumph, and the quiet power of determination. The tension that had built throughout the day gave way to joy, and the story became not just about a child swimming, but about a mother's unwavering dedication and the life lesson she had passed on. And in that golden light, as Liam splashed happily and Sarah watched him with pride, the moment was complete. The silent battles had ended, and what remained was love, trust, and the emotional triumph of a mother and child united in joy. The sun had started its slow descent, painting the sky in soft shades of orange and gold. The pool was still alive with the laughter of children and the gentle chatter of parents, but for Sarah and Liam, the day had reached a new kind of peace. Liam floated happily in the shallow water, his small arms stretching confidently through the cool, sparkling waves. He had conquered not just the pool but the invisible obstacle that had blocked his joy earlier. Sarah stood at the edge, watching him closely but with a calm smile. Her heart was full. She had spent the morning carefully guiding him, facing the stubborn woman, negotiating with the pool staff, and making clever decisions. And now, as Liam's laughter rang out in pure delight, she felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Liam splashed toward her, water dripping from his hair and sparkling on his face. "Mom, I did it. I really did it," he exclaimed, his small voice full of pride. "You did it, Liam," Sarah said softly, crouching down to meet him at eye level. "I only guided you. The real courage came from you." Liam giggled and splashed her gently. "I was scared at first, but you helped me, Mom. You never gave up." Sarah hugged him tightly, feeling the warmth of his small body and the trust in his eyes. "And I never will, Liam. No matter what happens, I'll always protect you and guide you. That's what mothers do." Nearby, the woman who had refused to let Liam swim earlier now stood quietly. She watched from a distance, arms crossed, but her expression had softened considerably. There was no anger, no harsh words. Perhaps she had learned something today, something about patience, fairness, and the quiet power of love. She hadn't expected the mother to be so clever, calm, and determined. Sarah had not only solved the problem but had done so without anger, without shouting, using only careful thinking and courage. Sarah noticed the woman's gaze but chose not to engage. She didn't need validation from her. The victory was already clear. Liam was happy, safe, and free to enjoy himself. The moment belonged to him, not to the obstacles they had faced. The pool manager approached with a friendly smile. "Everything seems fine here," he said quietly, nodding toward Liam. "You handled that very well." Sarah smiled politely. "Thank you. I just wanted him to enjoy his day safely. That's all that matters." The manager nodded and walked away, leaving Sarah and Liam in the golden glow of the late afternoon sun. Liam looked up at her with sparkling eyes. "Mom, do you think she'll be nice next time?" Sarah chuckled softly. "Maybe. But what matters is that we handled it the right way. We stayed calm, careful, and brave. That's more important than what she thinks." Liam nodded thoughtfully. "I learned something too," he said quietly. "Even if something seems unfair, I can be brave and careful. And you'll help me." "Yes, sweetheart," Sarah said softly, holding his small hand in hers. "We face challenges together. And sometimes courage and cleverness win more than anger ever could." For the first time that day, Sarah let herself fully relax. The tension, the stress, and the worry melted away. Liam's laughter echoed in her ears, blending with the gentle hum of other children playing. She realized that today had been more than just a trip to the pool. It had been a lesson, not just for Liam but for herself. Patience, intelligence, courage, and love were stronger than fear, stubbornness, or unfair rules. And those lessons would last a lifetime. The woman finally began to walk away, quiet and thoughtful. She gave a small nod toward Sarah, an acknowledgement that didn't need words. Sarah nodded back faintly, her calm smile showing understanding. The pool, once the scene of tension and challenge, had returned to a place of joy and freedom. Sarah helped Liam climb out of the shallow water. His small body dripped with sparkling droplets, and his cheeks were flushed with happiness. She wrapped a towel around his shoulders and pulled him close. "Today," she said softly, "you learned how to face challenges. And I learned that being calm, clever, and determined can overcome even the toughest obstacles." Liam hugged her tightly. "I'm glad you were my mom today," he said simply, his small words carrying so much meaning. "And I'm glad I'm your mom," Sarah replied, her voice full of emotion. She looked around at the pool one last time. The sun was low now, casting long shadows and reflecting golden light on the water. The day that had begun with tension, confusion, and fear had ended in triumph, laughter, and love. As they walked hand in hand toward the exit, Sarah realized something profound. Life would always present obstacles. People who were stubborn, rules that seemed unfair, and situations that seemed impossible. But with calmness, clever thinking, determination, and love, any challenge could be faced. The audience could feel the full emotional journey, from the initial shock to tension to clever planning, to triumph and emotional fulfillment. They had witnessed a story that wasn't just about a child swimming in a pool. It was about courage, intelligence, love, and the quiet power of a mother's determination. Sarah paused at the gate, looking back one last time at the sparkling water. "Remember this, Liam," she whispered. "Courage and love will always find a way. Never forget that." Liam squeezed her hand tightly. "I won't, Mom. I promise." As they walked away, hand in hand, the golden light of the late afternoon bathed them in warmth. The pool was quieting down, the laughter softening, and the day came to a close, not just as a simple trip to a public pool, but as a lasting lesson in bravery, cleverness, and love. And in that simple golden moment, the story reached its conclusion. A child's joy preserved, a mother's determination victorious, and a life lesson shared that would never be forgotten.